Well, I mean, it happens to be afternoon where I'm at. Hi, it's Ms. Steph. Welcome to Science with Ms. Steph. This video is one of several videos on my channel that's geared towards, more towards folks working with children versus the actual kids. Hi, kids. If you happen to be watching, this is something that you can watch. It is appropriate for you to watch, but this is not geared towards you as far as the way that I'm going to be speaking. Okay. Anywho, let's hop right into it so that it doesn't take too long. Oh, she's forgotten something. I'll be right back. All right. That's why I went over there. The adventures of being me, being you, being us. Yeah, so this project I have been calling Rising Color, and this is an activity that is on my kind of like a set of things that I'm doing with students in this 7-day cycle. So I like to, for the teachers on, which this is for y'all, this is like for teachers by a teacher, or rather teaching scientist type video, right? So you'll notice I'm going to switch up how I'm speaking. I'm not giving a lot of like, hi guys, type energy. Yeah, so this particular activity is part of this kind of food coloring water kind of vibe and energy I've been giving over the last several weeks. This is, as you know, for the majority of schools and programs in the US, this is the start of our school year, right? I mean, it's fourth quarter, but this is how we start the year. And one of the major things that I like to make sure that I impart on my students is just how water and food coloring interact. And yeah, and then we kind of go from there. So for this activity, you're going to need some type of food coloring. This one is you're going to be able to see, and I'm sure differentiate for yourselves and for your students. You can do this activity with children as young as 2, in my opinion, because I've done it. And then you can work yourself up to high school students. And you're going to be like, but how can something for 2-year-olds do well for high school students? We'll talk about that in a bit. Let's work with the basic activity that I did with my little on Wednesday, and then we'll go up to high school students, which is why I needed this, my IPA isopropyl alcohol. Cool. 70% or 90%, or you'll find out later, you can do both, or you can mix the water together. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do. Yeah, so obviously I've got to select a size paper towel. Let me bring this closer to you so you can actually see what's going on. Food coloring, select a size paper towels, some type of tray. Again, if you're, I'm talking for H2 right now. You can do the water in the beaker. Would I give them this much water? Absolutely not. I give them more like 10 milliliters of water at a time, and then I add more for them. Take some scissors. Again, for my 2s, for your 2-year-olds, you want to do the cutting yourself. High school level, you can make that part of the setup, right? Because one of the things that they need to be able to do is demonstrate an ability to design, set up, execute, and then communicate results right from an experiment. Okay? So yes, if you're hearing it, you know, anybody who's watched my videos before, first of all, hi, welcome back. Knows that I live in a particularly noisy area in the country. So yes, Not something I can manage, so I'm not going to apologize for it. That's right. Yeah. Sometimes people on videos like apologize for that, but like, I don't have control of outside noise. I just don't. Hopefully you can still hear my voice, and hopefully you're still able to focus through it. So anywho, you see what I've done. Folded, select the size in half, and then cut as neatly as possible 2 paper towel strips. For the 2s, you can decide, hey, you can give them the tray, right? What shape is this? What color is this? Whole lesson, people, right? What shape is this? What color is this? You can give them the paper towel. Let them feel the paper towel. Okay? How does it feel? Help them learn the words necessary to participate in science, right? Because I'm sure you know, if you're working with children as young as 2, you're already thinking about the reality that you are a foundational instructor, and so the information and the capacity building that you are doing right now is giving something for. I was speaking, with a potential volunteer today, something for their 10th grade chemistry teacher to stand on, right? There's different things that you are providing and letting them know that they are doing science. It's not just an art project or just something to fill time. No, we're doing a science lesson presented as such, and empower yourself to do it as such. Hello, you're a science teacher. Okay, paper towel. What shape is this? Right? So all of those different conversations you can have with them. Then giving them the second paper towel strip. I suggest paper towel strip. I highly suggest letting them know, or rather, my apologies, I'm getting ahead of myself, right? We get excited sometimes, okay? I highly suggest giving them 2. 2 is a reasonable amount, and then you see you can fit cup there. The way that I have this is intentional because it's easier for them to manipulate and reach, right? Because they have little arms, okay, to reach. If it's like this, I've noticed that if I put the tray in front of them like this, and then the cup here, this is actually, even if they're sitting at one of our tables, right, that's designed for their age and size, this is actually still too far, okay? So that's why I'm saying do it like this. And again, remember, we are not giving them this much water. This is too much, way too much, okay? But I'm a grown-up, and I can handle having that much water. Yeah, and I really want you to consider not worrying so much about them touching the tray in advance or whatever, because you want them to get used to feeling things so that then they're able to handle having materials. Again, you are foundational, and you're the person passing them off to that 4th grade science teacher that needs them to be able to see materials and not, have like moments just because the materials are in front of them, right? Especially for those of us who are pushing science teachers for the older students, like we need them to really be able to handle having materials in front of them. So again, going up thinking about high school, they can do all of this. Give them one of the like kind of more of the lunch tray. Maybe this type of tray is not quite their jam, just simply because older students tend to like more mature or muted colors, quote unquote. But lunch tray or some type of chem tray or whatever works, right? High school, this gets a little bit dicey as well. All age groups, everybody has trouble properly handling food coloring. But for the littles, right, you're going to go ahead and dab. You'll notice where I'm putting this, okay? Remember, we're doing a project called Rising Color, okay? And direction is relative, okay, to child, to how they're sitting, to what they're seeing, okay? And notice I just put a dab. I did not squeeze. I touched, and you still have quite a bit of pigment. For your twos through, I would say all the way to second grade. Whatever color does not matter. However, for your older students, I strongly suggest specifically giving them colors that are some type of combination of other colors so that they can also see that separation. All right? For those of you who just joined, hi. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to Science with Ms. Steph. And I am doing a tutorial kind of towards teachers. If you are a young person watching, it's still appropriate for you to watch, but just be advised. Talking in a way that I'm talking to fellow adults. Anywho. So let's go ahead and find out what happens, right? So Pipette, you can use these with as young as 2. I've seen it, I've done it, I've done it for the last several weeks, okay? You have your paper towel here. Hypothesis, right? You want them, no matter how old they are, you want to walk them through a what do you think will happen process. Now, will you call it hypothesis necessarily with the younger children? Possibly. If your 2-year-olds can handle it, if you're 2s in your class or in your home, maybe you're a parent wanting to introduce science early. Maybe you're an after-school director. Maybe you are anyone who is caring for and respecting young people. You still need to walk them through predictions, right? Because you're trying to make sure that this is an actual science class experience, right? And those are the parts of things that make it science versus just an activity and something that we're doing. No, it is a STEM or STEAM activity when we're making a prediction, okay? When we're talking about the materials, all those types of things. All right, so putting our water down, what do you think will happen? Okay, putting the water down. Notice I'm putting the water well below my dot because this is called rising color in relation to, right? Me. Okay? Or you can call it moving color. You can call it whatever you want to. I mean, if you want to try it and tag me and all that kind of stuff, that's cool, but like it's not really about that, right? So I'm putting this down, okay? Again, for as young as 2 up to second grade, the type of colors, the colors you use are not necessarily important. When you're getting into the older children, you may want to use colors that are a mix of something, your secondary or your tertiary colors. La la la. Right? Cutting this. And again, high school students can do all of this. Can do the cutting, can do the whole entire process. So as I let this run, right? I'm gonna set it up so that again, I promised you, we're working with all the way from 2 to early high school chemistry. You know, I imagine you could do this with college level if you wanted to really go into conversation about what the paper towels are made out of and comparing paper towel. I mean, there's a lot of things that can be learned literally from food coloring paper towels and water. Okay. Next thing we're going to talk about. Okay. Because of course you've got your thin layer chromatography conversation, and so if you were, you know, I'm thinking a college professor wanting your students to practice on a less expensive medium and do some TLC before you need them to do it on, you know, some type of specialized assay. Yeah. You know, they could learn on paper towel with some food coloring. I think that would be a great thing that you could do. So in here with the green, you see, this is actually one of my food colorings that I've stretched, and so it has some water in it already, and you already see like what's happening. You see how little I put down. So then adding another level of experimentation, like going towards it being an experiment away from just an investigation and like seeing what happens. I now can go, okay, I can test different liquids, okay, and how quickly those liquids, again, going back to the college level example, okay, how quickly those liquids then move the color up the paper towel. And again, direction relative to where the person is sitting. I'm going to put on a little bit more. Your 2-year-olds, I would let them sit and play with this. They're going to want to keep just putting the color down. They may want to put the color here or whatever. They're 2, let them do that. Don't freak out. But all that being said, the older students, you're wanting them to be able to follow instructions and say, hey, you need to put your color in one place. Okay? And just, yeah, for those of you who don't know or who are just now joining, I am Ms. Steph. Welcome to Science with Ms. Steph. This is one of my videos. Every once in a while I do videos that are a bit more geared to my fellow science instructors. Okay, and this is one of those, just FYI. All right? And I know we're going to freak out. Those of us who are fellow scientists are going to be like, she's using the same pipette she used for the water. Only because I'm doing a tutorial, only because I'm doing hey, try this with your students. But no, I would not do this with the kids. I would use a different pipette. Okay? And plus, I don't want to get up and leave y'all again. Okay? So, new. This side has got water. Okay? Let's observe. Okay? And of course, your students would have safety glasses on. Let's observe the difference. Okay? So, one of the differences is how the isopropyl alcohol actually stays or doesn't quite stay in the pipette. All right? You see that just kind of drip that you're going to constantly get. Again, properties of water versus the properties of other liquids, right? So now I'm putting liquid down in the same location, okay? Observing how it's moving. Of course, you did a prediction step with them. Observe how it's moving in comparison to how the water moves, all right? Yes, I used a different color, okay? And so, of course, to make it an actual experiment, you would need to make sure that you're using the same color if you're comparing liquids, all right? Same color. You want to use the same concentration. Of course, again, I'm talking if we're doing at a high school level, you want to do the same concentration of pigment. So these two can't really be compared to each other as far as in a control experiment, because one, I told you, it's been stretched. Okay, these are and this is fresh. This is new. Okay, and you can tell. Okay, putting some more water down. Obviously, the amount of liquid that you're using plays a role in how quickly, okay, and how things move up, right? Because we're calling this rising colors, okay, or moving colors, depending on what you feel is appropriate for your class. I mean, whatever you call it is not something I'm going to dictate for you. All right? So anywho, once again, welcome to Science with Ms. Steph. Thank you so much for joining me. We did an activity, right? I walked you through the different materials that you will need, some form of tray. I mean, I have done stuff on plates, y'all, right? Of course, you want it to be something that's plastic, something that's not going to absorb the water or the pigment or the other clear liquid that you might be using, okay? Paper towel strips. I highly suggest select the size and then you're cutting it into 4. Your older students can be trusted, of course, with scissors that are age appropriate for them to attempt to cut. That can be a way that you can be distributing responsibilities, right, for, say, middle school age. Some of them can do the cutting, some of them can do the passing out of the trays, so on and so forth. And then if you're looking at high school level, then having them walk through the whole process of designing an actual experiment, right? What type of paper towel should they be using? The size of the strips that you're cutting, right? That's where you're getting your end. You can measure the strips, so on and so forth. Also, you want to figure out how to distribute the water and in what amounts for your students. And then also decide whether or not you want to do a timer. Okay? Or you just want to do a visual and kind of just have them watch how quickly the color is moving, the pigment is moving. Again, relative to me, up. Okay? So, also, hopping back to the twos, they may just decide to pour it. You have to decide whether or not you're okay with that. I mean, they're two, so that's really appropriate for them to just be like, let's see what happens, which again is why you're not going to give them more than 10 milliliters of water at a time. Okay? I'm going to pour a little bit more, just like how your actual students would do it. You definitely want to do this yourself before you try it with them. You see what I got when I poured it. Okay? It does change how the liquid moves up, again, relative to me, the paper towel, and then therefore how the color is moving. And of course, you as the scientist, you as the instructor, are aware that the food coloring is just helping you actually see the movement of the water or the isopropyl alcohol, right? These liquids are clear. And so it's kind of hard. You can kind of see, right, if you look closely, like what level they're at, and they can touch it and go, oh, it's still dry up here. But one of the things that the food coloring does is help you actually see the level of the liquid moving. Okay? Also, what you should be noticing is that we're getting color separation. Going back to the conversation for those of you who may want to try this, right, as college instructors, saying, hey, maybe I do something, getting my students used to. You see now see what happened when I moved it, right? My color started to flow down a little bit here. I mean, a lot here and only a little bit here. Okay? These are different, these are different liquids. These are different things that you can support your students in observing. But yeah, going back to the college level conversation of going, hey, I can grab some food coloring, paper towels, or even printer paper, okay? And have them practice doing, setting up a thin layer chromatography analysis with these materials before they're having to use any other type of thing that might be a more costly, frankly, experiment, right? Well, not experiment, but analysis, okay? To get them to practice, okay? Because this is thin layer chromatography. This is kitty chromatography, if you look it up, right? So anywho, I feel like that's it. I feel like it's a good kind of place to pretty much end. I'm Ms. Steph, the founder and executive director of Triple F Empowerment, Inc. I have a science background and am a bit of an artist. And I am blessed and have the honor and privilege of working with youth in Harlem all the way from age 2 on up through various capacities. I do some consulting with OST staff, meaning out of school time staff. I go in, I am a push-in instructor, push-in STEM/STEAM/science instructor for various locations here in Harlem. And I really thank you for your time. Please feel free to leave some respectful comments if you would like me to do some more videos that are more like this and less of the geared towards the kids videos. If you would like to see and hear kind of and bounce off kind of ideas with me as far as the projects and my thinking behind the projects that if you're someone who follows me on Instagram and all that, behind the projects that you might see me do with the kids. I'm very open to sharing that because someone shared it with me. The majority of the stuff I know is just a spin off of things I've already found here on YouTube. So it's just coming from my own personal perspective. All right. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Once again, Ms. Steph, Check us out online. Links and all that will be below. All right. Peace.